is Mr. Gottberg from Jeb Stewart's Bridge to Success. I want to welcome you to not only my classroom, but to the 2021 school year. Over the last few weeks, I've had the opportunity to get to know your students and to be able to work with them this year, and I can tell you it is a pleasure. Tonight, I would like to just generally give you a quick overview of, the math class in general here in my class and my expectations. So first, I'm going to pull up one of my syllabuses for us to go over. These are going to be the same general layout as it would be for my sixth, my seventh, and my eighth grade class. So you should just generally be able to see the syllabus. I am not going to go through this word for word, but your child should have access to this in Teams. It is uploaded in the files. So if you would like a copy for yourself, I'll be happy to print one, or also you can have your child pull up the syllabus on Teams. My contact information is here at the very top. Some parents have already taken advantage of that. Email is usually the quickest way for you to get a response from me. So feel free to call. That is a Google Voice number. I will get that voicemail and give you a call back, but it will most likely be during either planning or after school hours. Just if you could also with your child pull up the syllabus to look at how we are breaking down each 9 weeks. Um, we are working on two grade levels worth of content in one. I am working through each grade level to break down that content so that I am able to pull in all of the prerequisite skills and standards before we go into our grade level standards that we are trying to accomplish this year. So, for instance, if you're a sixth grade student, I'm pulling in those sixth grade prerequisite benchmarks, and then we are going right into those seventh grade prerequisite benchmarks to develop that continuum and student understanding. And as I see students are struggling, if that is the case, I am also bringing in some skill based practice. But again, please review the breakdown, the learning outcomes with your child. This is aligned with the district's curriculum guides. And so we are trying our best to stay on pace as we have some changes and as students come and go. We again are trying to maintain our pacing so that students are prepared at the end of the year to be successful on either the FSA, the Florida Standards Assessment, or on the district end of course exam for Algebra 1A and prepared for Algebra 1 or their next grade level. Very important supplies. These are just some generic supplies that are being requested. Please make sure that your child is comes to school with paper and pencil and absolutely will need a calculator in math. I do have some. They are quickly being broken, and so they are needing to be replaced. So I am asking each and every parent to please make sure that your child has at least a four function basic calculator. And if you are an algebra student, you may get one of those scientific calculators because those do come in handy throughout the year. We do have common rules as a team. I have mine posted, but generally our team rules are work when you are supposed to be working. Keep your hands, your feet, and your objects to yourself. Sit in your seat unless you have permission to leave it. In my class, our students get really excited, and at times they need to stand to see the screen. I am okay with that as long as it is not a distraction and students are participating. And also use classroom appropriate language. In my class, generally students, are very respectful and have no issues with that. But please, again, just remind your child that as they are at school, we are always wanting to hear classroom appropriate language, and any other language needs to stay outside. So very important. Let's look at the grade breakdown. The bulk of your child's grade will come from classwork. So the majority of the work that we do in class is going to be half of their grade. So this would be independent work, handouts that we would complete. It says digits assignments, but our curriculum is actually into math. Any team lesson or assignments that have been submitted. So group work. And the reason for this is that I'm able to really watch and manage your child in the classroom to see what it is that they are learning and understand. So the work that they produce here is very important to me. So that is going to be your foundation of understanding, which will translate into assessments, which are our quizzes, any topic tests. We will have a minimum of 4 assessments per quarter, but recently I am trying to embed some smaller quizzes to help boost some of our students' assessment grades. But that's going to be 40% of your grade. So, directly based on classwork and what students are learning, all of it is standards based. 40% of grades come through assessments. And then homework and class participation. I have backed off assigning a lot of homework, but please remember that it could change a level grade between class participation and homework. So those are there as an opportunity to maintain the grade that the student is currently earning, or if students are not participating and not turning in homework, it could come down to a grade level difference. So an A to a B or a B to a C, etc. So we're going to go through some resources. These are just some previous resources that we have used in the past. And I also will assign students some work through Delta Math, which also would be communicated through Teams. So anything that we're going to be using during class or maybe part of an assignment or a lesson will be on Teams. So please remember, Teams is always going to be your point of contact for what is actually going on in the classroom. Um, Progress reports, I will send home my own progress reports at least 3 times per 9 weeks. I have sent progress reports at about week 3, many of which have not come back. So please make sure that you are asking your child about Mr. Gottberg's progress reports. Those come again every 3 weeks. I believe the school is sending home progress reports this week. So I will most likely send a progress report in a couple of weeks, which is about a week or so before the end of the 9 weeks, to give you communication on how your child is doing for this 9 weeks and what they need to do to bring up or improve their grade. All right, so makeup work. My students know that I'm always willing to take late work. So if we're looking at first week of classwork that's not been done and the student is asking what they can do to improve their grade, well, they can always make up their classwork or they can make up homework. I will accept that through the duration of the 9 weeks as an opportunity for them to improve their grades. Students may always recycle a D or an F grade. This doesn't necessarily apply to my assignments, but I'm allowing students to recycle their tests. So if they were to score a 45, the difference of that would be 65 points. They can earn up to half of those 65 points if they were to rework those questions and get those questions correct and resubmit that test. So great opportunity there for students to continually improve their grades. I expressed to students first week of school, it's very important for them to do their own work. We understand sometimes we all get busy and, they might want to copy their friend's homework to turn it in or their classwork. It's okay to get a grade for the classwork, but it will come down to the test, whether or not that student really worked through that material to understand it. So I do encourage you to just talk with your child about making sure that they do their own work because in the end, it is not a benefit to them to turn and work just for a grade. And they haven't learned anything. And then, of course, classroom rules. These were my initial rules. They're there for your review, but essentially they almost are the same as our team's rules that we have come up with recently. Consequences, I have very few behavioral issues, if any, so the kids are great this year. But if there's a need, we have verbal warning, a written warning, which would be a parent notification or a call home. If we continue to have issues, which I do not foresee, we would have a parent conference with the teacher. And ultimately, a student may need to be removed from the classroom or sent to Mrs. Copeland or Miss Copeland for any redirection from there. We are a very small site, so transition from one class to the next is extremely structured, as you may have heard. So we have no issues with students being tardy. When students come to the classroom, especially during this time of social distancing and needing to make sure that we have contact tracing, we ask students to enter the classroom and go directly to their assigned seat. and not to be moving around the classroom. If students tardy to class, which we don't have an issue, of course, that would be noted in focus and we'll keep it moving. Paper, pencil, and headphones. At least paper and pencil. At this point, we don't have the program that would need headphones. In the past, we have had, but we'll get into how to access into math online. And I'm trying to move quickly through this. How to find out what the daily assignments are. Students will refer to the board for the daily activities, which we have both a common board configuration, which describes the standards and the activity that we are doing, and learning outcomes. And I also have an abridged version, which is simply the agenda for the day. That is a student-friendly version, but it explains to them what our tasks are for the day. Turning in assignments again, I'm asking students to make sure that as soon as they have them readily available to return classwork, homework to me so that I can update grades. I update grades extremely regularly. So as soon as it's in my hands, usually I've gotten that grade put in so that you can and the student can see updated grades. Ending of class, we have again no issues usually with our students and making sure that we're following our transitional protocol. But basically, any trash that may be around the student's desk or in their area, we are asking that they do collect that and throw that away on their way out. And Ms. Butler will work with our students to make sure that they transition out of class with no problems. Again, general overview of my syllabus. If you have any questions, again, feel free to contact me. My email again is here, gottbergc@duvalschools.org, or again, my Google Voice number, which you are more than welcome to use. So I want to quickly show you just a few things. Basically, for all of our lessons, I will upload into Teams, which is the platform that your child is using at home through a virtual platform. So any assignment, whether it be my 6th grade, my 7th grade, or my 8th grade and Algebra 1A students, you will see on the assignments tab, I will go in regularly and update the daily lessons and assignments and how that student can access. So for Algebra 1A, and we'll get into my 6th and 7th in just a moment, but for Algebra 1A, I take all of the district's resources and I have put it into a PowerPoint. And this PowerPoint will continue to be an ongoing PowerPoint starting from lessons 1-1. And your child can go into that specific assignment or the day that they may have missed and click on the PowerPoint. It references what slides is part of that lesson. They can literally go slide by slide and stop and complete the activities within the workbook that they would have at home. Each slide also has a hyperlinked video that is linked to that slide so that they can watch the lesson from home if for any reason they're not in class that day. So there is no reason for them to fall behind unless it's, extenuating circumstances. But if they just happen to not be able to come to school that day, they should be able to log into Teams, watch these videos, and complete the student companion work. And also what they'll find for each lesson is that the textbook has also been uploaded as well. So if there's classwork for that day, they have not only the PowerPoint presentation. Go back to um, I'll go back to my original one. Let me go here real quick. Go to assignments and show you. Looks like I have to update for that one. But I just uploaded this morning for lesson 1-2, the textbook that goes with it. So there's usually an assignment slide that the student, and this is for Algebra 1A specifically. I'll get into 6th and 7th in a moment. But the textbook pages that they would end up having to turn in that day is going to be uploaded into each assignment. So let me go into 1-2 and I'll show you. All right, so when the student goes in to the assignment, then they should be able to go to student view. Okay, I think I might have done this one. So if I do a student view, you'll have the presentation here and you'll also have the textbook uploaded. So please, again, it's for some reason not showing up, but it will. So if a student's absent, the textbook pages will also be uploaded in a PDF format. So you can access that, and your child can stay on top of that homework. So this is the Algebra 1A, and let's take a quick look at how a student can access our 6th and 7th grade curriculum for the Into Math. A lot of parents have been asking, how can my child do the work from home? And I keep repeating to the students that, if they are not very confident in the work through the textbook because you don't have a lot of assistance or resources, that the online platform does have that assistance. So let me show you really quickly how to do this. Your child should know how to go to the blended learning if they have a district laptop at home. But if you went to the Duval Schools website, duvalschools.org, you would go to Students and Families, go to Current Students, and it'll pull up the page where you have a lot of links here that are resources to you. But I show my students to go to the student software, and you would scroll down until you're running into the Into Math. So for 6th and 7th grade, our textbook or our curriculum is Into Math. They would click whether it's this link here, or they would click the icon, and that would take them to a single sign-on where they would log in. And their dashboard will look a little different than mine, but it will default to the dashboard, as you'll see the dashboard. And then for them, it will also have assignments. So I have the teacher platform here, but theirs essentially will be dashboard, and it will be assignments. So a student would also be able to use the Discover feature. So if we were doing in our 7th grade class right now, we're doing module number 2. So they are able to access the interactive lessons, which is verbatim what we did in class, step by step, and it will provide them with hints and resources to be able to understand and scaffold learning. They are also able to access the online practice and then any of the assignments that I have assigned to them. So let me just show you an example. Lesson 1% change, which is our topic. I have assigned students for each module. They do the on your own, which is part of the lesson. Essentially, we do the practice and the step it out in class, which is essentially a lesson in class, and then the students are doing on your own, which is their classwork. So they are able to do it on their own at home, which it does record their progress and provide me and them with feedback. So the format's a little bit more user-friendly than the book, because at least when the students do it interactively, they are able to get hints and to get some feedback. So as it's pulling up, I'm going to show you very quickly how that looks for them. So I do encourage you, if you do have internet access at home and the student has a district laptop, or you have an available laptop, as we work through these modules and these lessons, it is very, very, very important that your child is getting the kind of practice that the book provides, because although in class we can do some practices and break it down and do some prerequisite, they've got to see what it looks like as it's going to be assessed on the FSA. So as you can see in Into Math, you have the question that's been provided, and it gives them a hint. So if a student's struggling, it tells them to use the percent increase formula, percent increase times original amount plus the original amount. So, the student will be learning this in class, and they will be able to answer those questions. But again, it follows exactly in their textbook, and it gives them 2 opportunities to complete the assignment and get feedback at the same time. So I would encourage you to really just have your child work through the online. It's there as a resource, and I know a lot of people have been asking, what can they do to improve their grade, or what can they do to really understand. So the Into Math has a lot of resources for your child, so please have them get in the habit of using that at home. Finally, one of the things that I do in class, and again, as a resource for our students to help them learn the material that may be a bit challenging, is I do pull, resources from the internet to embed. There's nothing wrong with that. So, if your child wants to YouTube a topic and watch some videos or other instructors that may be able to break it down a little further, farther for them, or they can stop and practice on their own. That's also a great idea, is for them to YouTube topics, especially in this day and age. There's a ton of resources out there. And then also, you can Google any topic as well. So like if we're working on percent change, there's a lot of worksheets and practice out there. And finally, the Khan Academy is a great resource for them for any subject, actually. KHAN Academy. So have them create an account, and they can also research different topics. The district does provide a single sign-on for that, I believe. But if they don't, we can certainly work through that process. But we are here for your child's success. Again, as a reminder, please make sure that your child has a calculator. That is a huge priority in our class. Again, we use those on the tests as well, so I want them to be fully prepared on how to use those. Make sure that you're receiving that regular communication as far as progress reports are concerned from my class. And if you have any concerns or questions, I am happy to discuss your child's progress with you and to communicate with you any of the things that we may need on our end, so that we can work together for the success of your student. It's been a pleasure speaking with you tonight. I know that was a lot of information in a very short amount of time, but again, feel free to reach out, and I am again here for your child's success, and I look forward to working with them through the duration of the year. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your evening.